Hi, my name's Eliana, and today we'll be talking a little bit about why I think you should consider donating to my favorite local charity, which is rodshouse.org. They're a local nonprofit charity that's dedicated to helping homeless kids, teens, and young adults rehabilitate their lives. So, how many of us have ever been in school and known somebody, a friend, a classmate, who maybe didn't come from the best home life, or maybe an unsafe or unstable home life? Or maybe you were even one of those kids. Oftentimes, these kids are present much more than we think of, especially if we ourselves come from better home lives. But oftentimes, these kids who are experiencing homelessness or an unstable or unsafe home life often feel like they have nowhere to go for help. They're unaware of resources, even if they might be available to them. And this puts our youth at risk for dangerous situations, especially because oftentimes they feel their only place to turn to is the street. According to the Washington State Department of Commerce's annual homelessness report in Washington from 2024, in Washington state alone, there are over 14,000 homeless young teens and young adults, anywhere aged from 12 through 24, who are on the street or in unstable housing places. In the United States as a whole, there are over 4.2 million kids who are homeless, displaced, or who come from unsafe homing situations. That is one child in every classroom of 30 kids in every single classroom, kindergarten through 12th grade, throughout every state in the United States. That's a lot of homeless kids. And this report is from the National Conference of State Legislatures, or the NCSL.org. Many times, young adults with unsafe and unstable home lives often resort to crime for survival. And in a lot of places, even sleeping outside is a citable offense that will get you a ticket, and technically you'll be in the justice system from then on. Sleeping outside, just trying to find somewhere to sleep, can lead these kids to have a criminal record, just to give you guys some perspective. And once the cycle begins where it's hard to restart your life, right? You have no money, no resources, nowhere to go to that's safe, no one to turn to that's safe and can help you. Where does this lead these kids? It leads them in this cycle that they're unable to get out of. Because where do you go when you don't have anywhere to go, right? No one cares, no one to go to turn to for help. And that's the position that these kids find themselves in a lot of the time. It's quite unfortunate. But there are some places that do offer support for the young kids in our communities who are maybe having a rough spot, a bad time, need somewhere to go that just feels safe, maybe a shower, some new clothes, a hot meal. And these places are youth shelters. They're super essential to our communities. They come in all different kinds. There's nonprofit organizations, there is homeless shelters, and then there's youth social service organizations, which are backed by the government social service. Any of these resources and homeless shelters are how we can give back to these young kids and these young teens and offer them an opportunity to turn a new leaf and have a better chance of doing something better with their lives. So, helping teens and young adults not only helps our communities come together, but also to be safer. As I mentioned, a lot of these kids often have to turn to crimes for survival. And according to the National Conference of State Legislatures again, or the NCSL.org, unmet basic needs are often the number one thing that cause young people to turn to crimes for survival. And oftentimes these crimes continue to escalate as the older they get. So that means you might start out young, maybe you steal a loaf of bread, and then you're gonna keep stealing. Maybe you might feel like you need more money, then you might steal from someone's home. These things often escalate because these kids have nowhere to go to turn to for help. But these are survival crimes, but are still crimes nonetheless in our communities. And they can happen in the form of trespassing for shelter, theft, burglary, selling drugs, or sexual acts for favors, and that's not a position anybody, especially children, should be in. Once in the criminal justice system, as I mentioned before, the other unfortunate part that comes from that is that these young kids and these young teens are then, or young adults, are also cut off from any resources that they might not have known about before they ended up in the system. So now that they're out of the system, maybe they found out about all these resources, but they cannot apply for them anymore because of their criminal record. And even once these kids do try to rehabilitate their life, oftentimes a criminal record can still be really detrimental in terms of trying to find housing or a job. And those are things that keep people in this loop, this toxic cycle loop that they can't get out of, or it's really, really hard to get out of without help. So in the long run, together supporting our young adults to do better, it helps all of us and our community in the long run be more safe for the next generation. If we give back to our community, we're able to help these kids. We don't have to worry about what they're going to do in 10, 20 years because they're going to be stable adults, hopefully. So one big thing that I'll ask you guys to do today, or look into at the very least, is to donate. Look into donating at local youth shelters around your area. It's as easy as starting with a Google search of youth shelters near me and just being able to find some ways you can help. On Rod's House, which is, like I mentioned, is my favorite local youth shelter, it's rodshouse.org. You can go there, and right on their website, it literally has everything that they have done to help these kids in the Yakima Valley as a whole, not just Yakima. They have another youth shelter in Sunnyside. Online, kids can always find if there's beds available. And then online, you can also find out how to donate. It shows you anything from a $10 donation will get kids to hygiene supplies, or a $50 donation will supply one kid with meals for a week. And they also have an Amazon wish list on there too. So maybe if you don't just want to blindly donate money, because I don't know, some people feel weird about that, you could go onto their Amazon wish list. They have a bunch of stuff on there from different price points. That, or let's say you don't even make a lot of money, there's still ways you can donate to help these kids. Next time you're spring cleaning or going through your house, just getting rid of clothes, gently used clothes, instead of dropping them off at the Goodwill, you could take them to Rod's House. Just leave them there. Those kids are always in need of clothes, hygiene supplies, toiletries, any of that stuff that you can provide for them. They are always looking for donations. So please don't hesitate. Anything helps these kids. They have nothing. And you can also donate your volunteer hours. They also need help with people listening to them. And together we can make a difference in young people's lives, but also shift the dynamic of our communities to be more positive in the future and for future generations to come. Thanks.